All right, everybody. I hope everyone has had a wonderful day. The site visit today, can't believe that it was 76 degrees. It was quite warm out there. Thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Paul Pennell with Urban Design Partners, and we are here this evening to discuss City of Charlotte Rezoning Petition 2021-142. This rezoning petition includes 3 parcels just to the immediate east of I-485. It's approximately 36.23 acres and is currently zoned MX2 and R4. We'll get into some detail there. We are requesting a zoning district of R12 MF CD. That's R12 MF conditional. And also NS. NS is neighborhood services, and we'll get into a few details on that as well. The zoning petition currently includes a mix of uses, including multifamily, townhomes, and a small amount of commercial uses as well. And we'll go into all of these details tonight. The petitioner is joining us tonight. It's PDC Land Acquisition LLC. That is the company here, but that is the official petitioner, but it is Prestwick Development. We will do some introductions here in just a little bit, and they'll provide you some details on who they are as well. Again, I'm Paul Pennell with Urban Design Partners, and thank you again for joining us tonight. So the first slide here is an existing picture of the end of Rhine Station Road. That's I-485 off to the side. Rhine Station Road within this petition, we'll get into the details of it, will extend through the site. But just wanted to give everyone kind of an existing picture of where this one is. Some housekeeping tonight. We're going to ask that everyone remain muted. We've got a few people on already. This is great. We've got really good turnout. But if everyone could remain muted during the presentation, but if you'd like, there's a little chat box. Feel free to click that chat box during the presentation if you have a question that pops up on a particular slide. Feel free to type in your question, and at the end of the presentation, we'll go through and we'll address all of the questions, and then also give some people an opportunity to unmute themselves and ask some questions as well. All right, so we're going to be covering quite a lot today. Don't get scared by this list. We'll go through it reasonably quick so we can get to the good stuff, and that's the questions on the back end. But tonight we'll be doing introductions with the zoning petitioning team. We'll go over zoning classifications. Zoning can be a little confusing, so we'll talk about that a bit. Design considerations, why we have laid the site out like we have. We'd like to talk a little bit about the Charlotte 2040 plan and also the policy mapping that's currently going on. That's very important to city and city planning. So wanted to touch on that and how that may fall into place here. We'll talk about the location, just so everyone's on board on where this is, and also these parcels have been rezoned in the past. At least one of them, the larger of the 3, the 30-acre parcel, has been rezoned, and wanted to provide a little bit of history on that, and also some rezonings that have occurred in the area as well. We'll jump into the proposed rezoning plan. We'll show a rendering of the proposed plan. We'll talk about traffic, what's being studied in the area related to the trip counts, the trip generation that's being proposed under this petition. We'll talk about the architectural elevations. We've got some conceptual architectural elevations for the townhomes, the apartments that are being proposed, the clubhouse, the amenity area, and also the NS building. We'll talk a little bit about the neighborhood services area that's being proposed within this petition, provide some details as to what's being envisioned here, and also we'll wrap it up with the timeline, anticipated timeline for the petition, so everyone can kind of understand where this petition will go from here. And then we'll open it up to questions. So team introductions, we've got a few local groups that are involved in this petition, as well as Prestwick Development. I don't know why my slide keeps changing when I'm telling it not to. Sorry about that. But Gray, if you guys would like to, you and Chuck would like to provide an introduction, just say hi, that'd be good. And then we can jump into some of your projects here, precedent projects here in just a moment.
Great. I'll go first. Everyone, thanks for your time tonight. And everyone's busy. Chuck Young. I'm one of 4 owners of Prestwick Development Company. We are Atlanta-based multifamily developers. I like to tell people we're a medium-sized group. We're big enough to take on a handful of new projects like this every year, but not so big that we can't get creative and do things that maybe some of the kind of large national groups may need to do. So try to treat each site, with the attention it deserves. We've really done I think, a great job in the last decade. We do a lot of kind of placemaking developments. Yes, our core business is rental housing, and you'll hear more about the plan here tonight with Paul and everyone. But we always try to put something interesting, something placemaking, destinational. We have put, and you'll see some of the images in a second, but we've done breweries, we've done other retail. We're working on putting in a bakery at one of our locations right now. So, we're coming in, yes, we're building housing, but we're trying to do some other things for the community, make things kind of a win-win for everyone, and some fun things to do, and not just be the apartment guys. So I'll be here to help answer questions at the end, and look forward to sitting with you when watching Paul present on the rest of the presentation and the plans for tonight.
Thanks, Chuck. Appreciate that. Again, I'm Paul Pennell with Urban Design Partners. We're basically the land planners and offering the entitlement services to Chuck and Gray. Savannah Page and Anna Flournoy from our office is also joining us on the call tonight, just taking good notes. The notes that we take tonight will be provided back to the City of Charlotte. We'll submit those on Monday. So there'll be a record of this presentation. We'll get into some of the more of those details here at the end of the presentation as well. Studio Fusion, Ed Hickman and Kevin Marlowe, they are not joining us tonight, but they are the architects on board, and also Randy Goddard with Design Resource Group. They are providing the traffic study and the traffic counts and the traffic impact analysis study as well related to this petition. So Chuck, if you wanted to maybe go through and provide a little bit of description to some of the past projects that Prestwick Development has done, that would be great.
Sure. Kind of featured on the top is a redevelopment project called the Eddy at Riverview Landing. Really successful project. It was a old industrial site that we redeveloped along the Chattahoochee River in Atlanta. It was one of the first large redevelopment projects along the river in decades. The image on the left is kind of our typical pool layout. The one in the center, you could see Reformation Brewery. It was an existing brewery in Georgia who wanted a new location, and we did that. That was one of those, the community needed more retail in this area. It didn't have enough of that, so we built a little 2,000 square foot brewery. It's been very successful, well attended, and so it's somewhere for the folks who live on site to go, but the majority of the customers come from outside the community. We also have food trucks, things like that throughout the week. And since it's on the river, we also do some people have kayaks. So it's a real good entertaining area, especially during the summertime. And then also in that building on the upper right, you'll see the image of the front of the building, which we put our leasing center and a small privately third-party operated coffee shop there too. So that's been a big success and continues to be. I was actually there at the brewery yesterday. On the lower portion, we have on the lower left it's a sort of a townhome garden apartment hybrid development. Those, much like some of the things we're proposing on this plan, direct access garages, so people could just pull right into their unit, park, and come on in like it's a townhome or a ranch home. And then on the bottom right was actually a community. We did an age-restricted development for seniors at a MARTA station. And those of you not familiar with it, MARTA is our subway system here in Atlanta. So folks can just walk right out of their apartment, go right over to the transit station, and head on in. It's also located along the Atlanta Beltline, which is our big 22-mile loop park project here in Atlanta. So point is, on these, a lot of our developments, we try to do something fun, special, put them in interesting locations where we could do something interesting on them. And that's one of the reasons we are pursuing this site with the plan we're proposing tonight.
Great, thank you, Chuck. All right, let's dig on into zoning. Now, some people may be familiar with what zoning is, others may not, but just wanted to provide a little bit of background on what zoning is. So zoning is the city's method for classifying land by usage. to ensure spaces relate to their surroundings in a way that preserves and promotes the development of the city and the communities within it. So this is a list of the current rezoning districts in the city of Charlotte. You've got R's, which are your residential detached rezonings. The numbers that you see associated with these zoning districts basically indicate how many dwelling units you can have per acre. So R3, which would be the least intense zoning district in the city, would be residential, 3 units per acre. R8 would be residential detached, 8 units per acre. Then you get into some MX, you get into mixed use, you get residential multifamily, R8 multifamily, that would be R8, 8 units per acre multifamily. So that would be townhomes, apartments. And then you get into some more of the intense districts, which would be your TOD, MUD, things like that. So conventional versus by right, this is a, excuse me, it should be conditional. This is a conditional district. So basically what happens is we have submitted a site plan that has a list of conditions associated with it. And those conditions, rules that need to be followed through the development process, follow the property really forever until there's a new rezoning. When you see CD on the back of rezoning districts, for example, R17 MFCD, that means that there is a conditional plan associated with that. MX, as I previously described, is like a mixed use district. They go up in intensity from 1 to 3. NS, which we're proposing here, it includes neighborhood services. We'll get into some details on that. And then also, let's see. So basically just wanted to provide an overview here of what these zoning districts entail. Design considerations. As we move forward, and really zoning is a very early process in the potential development of a piece of land. There are many, many different things that we have to take into consideration as we move forward. Existing site conditions, the City of Charlotte zoning ordinance. There are many different ordinances with the City of Charlotte that we have to follow, including the subdivision ordinance, stormwater control, which is referred to as the post-construction ordinance, other policies that NCDOT, North Carolina Department of Transportation, and CDOT set forth for us to follow. Input, community input, which we're starting that process tonight. We have had some previous conversations with the Northwest Community Alliance, but this provides an opportunity to include many more people from the Community Alliance and also adjacent neighbors. Future land use plans. Land use plan here is the Northwest District Plan. This may be applicable for a little while longer. We'll get into a couple details on that. Charlotte 2040 plan and policy mapping. While this has not been, the policy mapping has not been officially adopted, it's in draft form. There are still policies with the 2040 plan that we're taking a look at and wanted to make sure that we pay homage to, since this has clearly been the direction that the City of Charlotte is going to be moving. We want to make sure we're taking a look at that. Residential densities in the commercial use is a mixed use district, so there are certain design parameters that we need to follow with that. When we select a zoning district, all zoning districts are different. We need to follow those design guidelines. Environmental features, for example, tree save. We have wetlands and streams on site. The development program that Prestwick has, Gray and Chuck, they have a list of items that they're trying to achieve on site. We're wanting to make sure that we can achieve that while taking community input and also following ordinances here in City of Charlotte. Staff input. So we've got many different staff members with city planning, CDOT, NCDOT, subdivision, urban forestry, all providing comments and input on the rezoning plan. City Council, your council person here, Council Member Victoria Watlington. I'm not sure if she's on the call at the moment, but we'll be taking her input on this as well. Of course, vehicular traffic patterns. Traffic is a concern out here for the community and the petitioner, and we'll be talking about that a little bit tonight. Pedestrian safety, making sure that this is a walkable community, walkable network. Green space and natural areas, making sure that we're including those on site as well. Amenity areas, and also historic features. So some of you may be aware that the Piedmont and Northern Railway, which operated from 1911 to 1969, actually cut through this site. We're making sure that we key in on that, and we can talk a little bit about that in more detail as we move forward. So just to touch on a little bit about the 2040 comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is the City of Charlotte is defined as a living document that provides a policy framework that will guide our city's decision-making, investment, in near and long-term timescales. I would encourage all of you to go to cltfuture2040plan.com to get involved, take a look, and become familiar with the direction that planning policy in the city of Charlotte is going in the foreseeable future. It's great to see this coming, a new UDO, which is outlining new zoning districts. Those draft zoning districts are seen here. Neighborhood 1, neighborhood 2. So as soon as we learn all these zoning districts tonight, the city of Charlotte, hopefully within the coming months, will be adopting new zoning policies. So I encourage everyone to get involved in that and take a look and be familiar with the current direction the city is going in. All right, so let's start talking about Zoning Petition 2021-142 and its location. So just to get everyone familiar with the location of the site, again, it's approximately 36.23 acres. It's directly adjacent I-485. I-485 borders pretty much most of the site. Rhine Station Road, which was shown in the initial landing page for the presentation. The dead end that was shown is right here. We've got Old Morse Chapel directly to the south. Mount Holly Road and the existing Mount Holly Road is actually up here. That's labeling the railroad track here. Sorry, everybody. And then we've got an existing railroad bed as well. That was the historic railroad that I mentioned previously. That's actually cutting through the site right through here. Today, the site is zoned MX2 for the majority of the 30-acre site, and also R4. We'll get into a little bit of the history, but you can see that there's quite a lot of rezoning activity that has occurred over the years. Most notably here is a site just to the north that's a townhome site that was rezoned. It's going through land development now. To the south, there was a conventional single-family detached rezoning that occurred. Those homes are under construction now as well. And then also, we're going to touch a little bit on how this site relates to the rezoning 2005-150. So some of you may be familiar with rezoning 2005-150. That was a quite large site that envisioned a mixed-use district prior to I-485 being constructed out here. So just wanted to let you know that this site actually includes a portion of the 2005-150 zoning petition. It's this portion over here that included townhomes and up to 262 residential units. So today, by right, it's townhomes for 262 units. That was referred to as Area 5 in that rezoning, if you really want to dig in and take a look at that. The townhomes just to the north was 2019-045. And this is a copy of the townhome rezoning that was approved back in 2019. All right. So this is the current site plan that has been submitted. It was submitted quite a while ago, back in, June, I believe, is when this was originally submitted back to the city. What this basically is showing is two zoning districts, R12 MF, that's R12 multifamily, including 100 townhomes. That's 100 single family attached units. Those townhomes are shown right along here. And then also 304 multifamily apartment units. Those are shown 2 buildings. It's a total of 11 buildings. 2 buildings are over here directly adjacent Old Morse Chapel. And just, I probably need to make everyone aware that the orientation has changed here. So north-south here is, this is oriented north-south. The plan that I'm showing you here in this rezoning plan, it has laid flat. So north-south is actually running the lengthwise of the page, just so everyone understands. I-485 is running on the top of the site here, just so everyone's familiar. We've got 304 apartments and also a small NS commercial zoning district here, and we'll get into the details of that. So this is a site plan rendering of what we're proposing here on site. You can see Creedmoor Hills, which is a land development project that's LGI Homes is proceeding with single family detached homes here. You can see a little clearer the single family attached townhomes, the 100 townhome units here, and then the apartments with surface parking. And then the Villages at Creedmoor, which is also an LGI Homes project Those are townhomes. These will be probably starting construction, if I had to guess, within the next 6 months or so. Through the site, we're proposing a residential wide road cross section, which includes on-street parking, streetscape, sidewalk, and then Public Road 1 is a residential medium. There would be no on-street parking for this one. Through the site, we've got quite a lot of green space and hiking trails. We do have some environmental features that we need to be mindful of. We've got a large wetland area here that's directly adjacent I-485, which was actually created due to the construction of the highway. So that is now a jurisdictional water. We have confirmed that with the Army Corps of Engineers. So we've got some wetlands here that we need to protect. We also have some blue line streams, some jurisdictional waters that are cutting through the site as well. Those will actually have 100-foot buffers on them. We're limited in what we can do within those buffer areas, but nature trails are allowable. So we're going to be creating, in addition to all of the sidewalks that are being proposed on site, some nature trails and hiking trails on site to help with that pedestrian connectivity. Traffic. So traffic in this area of town along Morris Chapel Road is a problem. We're all familiar with that. So Randy Goddard with Design Resource Group has been working with Charlotte Department of Transportation, North Carolina Department of Transportation. And what you're looking at here is the scoping plan that basically identifies the locations of potential traffic improvements that may occur associated with this development. So each one of these intersections that you're seeing, got intersection 1, I-485, the roundabout along Morris Chapel Road on, sorry, everybody, along the west side of I-485 is being studied, as well as the roundabout on the east side at Old Morris Chapel and I-485, that's being studied. It's also worth noting that the most important intersection here is noted as number 3. That's the intersection of Old Morris Chapel Road and Morris Chapel. That is being studied in detail. And then also the intersection of Freedom Drive and Old Mount Holly Road is also being studied. So NCDOT and CDOT basically pointed us and said, hey, you guys need to do traffic counts here. You need to understand what those traffic counts look like today. We're going to look at historical traffic counts as well. Traffic has begun to reach normal 2019 levels, but we're going to take a look at what those traffic counts look like as well up from past years and see how that correlates to current traffic counts as well to make sure that those anticipated increases are reflected in this traffic study. In addition, you'll see a traffic table up here. Basically, the proposed uses, including the multifamily, the 304 multifamily units, the single family attached units, and the retail, the proposed new trip counts are shown here. So we're looking at them in AM peak hours, which is basically between the hours of 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. And then also the PM peak hours, which are between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. And how those traffic counts are going to increase the current condition entering and exiting the site. So total entering the site because of the multifamily use will be 18 new cars in the morning, 56 will be exiting in the morning. Single family detached uses, 26 will be entering in the morning, 76 will be exiting in the morning. And then the retail will be pretty low in the morning, likely just employee staff. 2 will be entering and 1 will be exiting in the morning hours. At night, in the PM hours, the multifamily, 64 new cars will be entering the site, 38 will be leaving. The single family detached will be 78 cars leaving, 50 entering. And then the retail, which we'll see a little bit more of an increased use in the evening hours, the PM hours, 18 entering and 20 leaving. So these are the total peak hours in the PM. As far as details and the mitigation that may be occurring based on these study areas, we're anticipating that traffic study to be completed within the next 3 weeks. So those mitigations or those road improvements that would occur based on this traffic study will be incorporated into the rezoning petition moving forward. We're anticipating a lot of work being done on the intersection of Old Morris Chapel Road and Morris Chapel Road. The petitioners, I think we're all on board here. We've been speaking with Sam Smith and about the need of or the ask for a traffic signal here. I think the community and Prestwick Development is in line with that effort. We are really trying to look at figuring out what it's going to take to get a signal installed at that location. I can't make any guarantees that will be incorporated into the mitigation efforts, but that's certainly something that we're going to look for and try and get done. We think that's a benefit to the community, the current traffic, and everything that's being developed within this area. So just wanted to make note of that. All right, the residential attached townhomes. These are the current conceptual elevations that we're working on. We think it's a really well-designed product that Studio Fusion has done. These are individual units. They all have a very nice, well-defined roof line. These are not the typical kind of looking at 6 units across a facade, and you can't tell which individual unit starts and stops with the adjacent unit. These are we're pretty excited about the design work that's been done here. The brick accents, the vertical accents for the cementitious siding, the front porches. We're pretty excited with the look of the townhomes here. The apartments are 3-story. Again, those same architectural accents for brick and cementitious siding, dormer accents along the roofs. There are no blank walls. We've incorporated blank wall provisions into the development conditions for this site, but just like the townhomes, we're very excited about the quality of the design here, and welcome any feedback that you all may have. We are planning an amenity area. The amenity area is located pretty close to the intersection of the new 2 proposed roads, proposed road 1 and 2, the residential medium and the wide that I had alluded to earlier. Just wanted to provide some architectural elevations of the clubhouse that's being proposed on site. And then also the NS portion, this commercial use. We're going to dig into the details here on the next slide, but just wanted to show that we are thinking about what this looks like, and look forward to providing some more details on what we're envisioning here for this use here in just a little bit. So NS, within the rezoning petition, we've got 2,750 square feet of NS commercial area. That would include a potential dog bar, a community-oriented dog bar. We're seeing this as a potential for local neighbors to walk to a local watering hole. Maybe there's it's local event space. Maybe there's some acoustical music, but an outdoor dog play area, incorporating some playground space for a whole family to come and enjoy. Maybe you grab a beer and you take your dog on a walk on the nature trails that we had talked to earlier. Maybe you take your dog on a 1-mile hike, you enjoy your beer, you go back, get another beer, go on another hike. But we wanted to provide the community an opportunity to have a local neighborhood watering hole at this location. And we're pretty excited about incorporating this just as a really fun element in the petition. Currently right now, I believe there's a couple of very interested groups that are wanting to take a look at this. They are local, and they're excited about it as well. I hope everyone's happy to see incorporating this type of commercial use into the petition. So moving forward, tonight, November 10th, this is our community meeting. It's been in the works for some time now. Again, thank you everybody for joining us. Next steps would be a public hearing. There's going to be a little bit of a lag from tonight, from November to potentially a public hearing on February 21st or March 21st. The reason for that is because the traffic study needs to be finalized, and then it would be submitted over to CDOT, Charlotte Department of Transportation, and NCDOT as well. They have 30 days to, or excuse me, 90 days, up to 90 days to review that and agree with the traffic study prior to allowing this zoning petition to move to the public hearing. In the meantime, we will likely be having follow-up meetings with the Northwest Community Alliance, specifically the traffic improvements. What do those mitigations look like? And then also taking your feedback tonight, incorporating that into a revised rezoning petition site plan. And then we'll be having follow-up meetings with the Northwest Community Alliance and any adjacent community members as well. After the public hearing is basically an opportunity for the public to show up, speak to council, and plead their case for or against. We are hoping for support on this one. We're really working hard to win that support from the Northwest Community Alliance. Next step would be zoning committee. Zoning committee reviews the merits and the zoning petition and then provides a vote of recommendation or denial back to city council. And we're anticipating a city council decision on March 21st or April 18th. So that is the timeline that we're anticipating moving forward here. So with that, that's the presentation. Took about 30 minutes. Thank you everybody for hanging in there. Really appreciate that. So from here, I'm going to open it up to questions. Any outstanding questions that anyone may have. I'm going to jump back to the rezoning petition site plan just as a general reference here. Let me go over here and check out the chat, see if there are any questions. No questions have been typed into the chat. So I guess from here, if anyone would like to, maybe we'll try and do this in the most organized fashion possible. If anyone would like to unmute themselves and ask a question, I am happy to answer any questions that you all may have tonight.
Hello.
Hi, yes.
Are there any plans for, I guess, rail transportation to come out this direction?
My understanding right now, I think you might be alluding to the Silver Line. And the Silver Line is looking to be extended over to Belmont. And this is not the current route for the Silver Line light rail transportation corridor. So right now, I am not aware of NC Rail or the City of Charlotte light rail program coming through here at this time.
Okay. And one other question. The development that you're speaking of tonight,
yes.
Will there be any affordable housing, or how will these units be priced?
So right now, these are all market rate. They're all market rate. There would be no affordable housing associated with these units.
Thank
Paul, can
you.
you explain a little bit more what market rate is? Because I'm
Hey,
not sure
Sam.
everybody on the call knows the term market rate.
Absolutely. So Chuck, you may actually be the best. I can describe it, but coming from Prestwick Development, market rate is, if you want to provide some additional details after I provide this explanation here, Chuck, but market rate is basically a cost to live within these homes based on what the current rate for housing is within an area. It's not reduced, it's not increased. It's just kind of following along with market forces, and then they will go up and down over time based on the current market. Chuck, if you could go into more detail, that would be great.
You did a great job at covering it. I think
Good. All right.
I think the takeaway here for us is that there's plenty of, and I think you all have seen it, there are plenty of 4, 5, 6-story buildings with parking decks and things like that, those are your highest rents in the Charlotte area. And while yes, this is not a quote unquote affordable housing development, it'll certainly be more affordable than some of the other stuff being built because the parking is less expensive, and there's plenty of room for us to build a good efficient product on this site. So there will be some pricing advantages built in, but nothing, it still is yes, it is market rate housing, whatever the market will pay for it. It just won't be as much as some of the other stuff.
Paul, I told my executive team, who I report to, that I wasn't going to say anything, but I think it's appropriate for me to ask this question.
Sure.
Because I think most of our concerns are the traffic nightmare that's going to happen over here. You may have said in some part of your presentation, but if you have said it, if you could go back, if not, share with us. From my understanding, it looks like, based on what I've seen, that there is only going to be one point of entry, Almost Chapel Road, and one point of getting back out, which is Almost Chapel Road from this development. Do you have any other connecting streets that will help alleviate the traffic off of Almost Chapel Road? That's the first question.
Yep.
The second question that aligns with that is that, as you all are doing this traffic study and you have all these different players that's involved, will there be eventually a conversation on possibly connecting that development into Mount Holly Road? That way it alleviates the traffic that will be caused on Old Morris Chapel Road. So I'll let you answer that and I'll come back.
Sam, could you circle back on your second question? I want to make sure I answer it correctly. Can you ask it one more time?
Would there be, coming out of that development, would there be a opportunity for you all to build an exit from this development to go to Mount Holly Road to kind of help alleviate the traffic that will be caused on Old Morris Chapel Road? And you can, if you want to highlight what Mount Holly Road is too, so we can see it in the
Yep. So I think everyone can see my cursor here. So Mount Holly Road is to the north of this site. And Sam, I'll answer your second question first, since we're kind of touching on it. So Mount Holly Road, thank you, Anne-Marie, for annotating that. I appreciate that. So Mount Holly Road is on the other side of an existing railroad track. This railroad track is basically, there's no way to cross it. Let me back up. I don't think this rezoning petition is going to show it, but I can at least show a old historical artifact here of this rezoning petition. So in 2005, this rezoning petition proceeded with some development conditions stating that they would try and achieve a railroad crossing. You can see a little bit of it here. You see a road coming down from Mount Holly Road to cross the railroad to provide that connection. The railroad denied that access. So moving forward with this rezoning petition, this access was actually removed during this rezoning petition. In addition, the 2005 150 zoning petition stated that we would need to, I say we, I just mean the development in general, would request a pedestrian sidewalk within the railroad right of way to follow along the railroad. The railroad denied that as well. So the railroad is basically saying no to any crossing. This is CSX through here. So just want to get that out in the open, that the railroad is basically a no-go for crossing.
Excuse me, with respect, this is Missy Epps.
Hey, Missy.
You just said that happened in 2005, and I would say that none of us would disagree that we're in a very different world in every industry in 2021. And so I feel like that the connectivity of this neighborhood and the people who are going to live in it to the commercial and one of the few community centers that the 2040 plan has, if I may be so bold as to annotate. So the connectivity to this community center would be too great a loss not to ask again. So I would feel like it would be important for you to approach the railroad again to ask if the situation has changed, and if it would be feasible to have an access there, because adding 400 families to this parcel, all funneling out of a single road, I think all of us are just very alarmed by that.
Yep. Missy, let me provide some additional detail. So the condition for crossing the railroad track here was originally thought of and codified in the 2005 zoning petition. In 2019, in zoning petition 2019-045, that same language to cross the railroad track was included in this zoning petition. When the land development for the townhomes here to the north began to move forward, we had to reach out to the CSX Railroad again and request a traffic crossing here. So in 2020, CSX denied that access. So in 2005, that's when the crossing was initially envisioned. And then fast forward to 2020, when this portion of property actually started moving forward with development, that's when CSX denied the crossing. So it was actually just a year ago when CSX denied it.
So then who has jurisdiction over CSX? Are they a private or publicly held utility? Are they, of course they're going to say no if that's the easiest thing for them to do. So who provides the pressure on them to acquiesce to a crossing?
So the best way to describe CSX is essentially a private utility company. They have property rights to the land within their right-of-way. Their right-of-way is measured 100, Their right-of-way, you can see it here, is measured 100 feet from the center line of the railroad. Legally, they're essentially treated as property owners. Whether they actually own the property or not, the way these easements are written, they are treated as if they own the property. In most cases, they're treated as if they own the property and they don't pay the taxes on the property. But in this particular case, they basically control what's allowed to be done within that right of way. So let me jump over here. LGI Homes has moved forward, and I want to jump back over on Sam to your first portion, to your first question. LGI Homes has moved forward with 2 by right developments. These by right developments are going to include a new road network for single family detached homes within these 2 areas. You can see some of the roadway network here that has been included. But also these road networks are going to eventually connect back over into this neighborhood. Now, as we currently see it, the majority of the traffic, yes, will be coming to Old Morse Chapel Road and Morse Chapel at this intersection. But over time, a road connectivity network will be created to allow for multiple means of access back to Morse Chapel Road. Now, they're all going to be feeding to Morse Chapel Road. They won't be going to Mount Holly. The only way to get back to Mount Holly is by crossing the railroad track at Old Mount Holly Road. But right now, within the traffic study, we're looking at ways to improve the traffic condition along Morse Chapel Road in these intersections as related to the trip counts and the trip generation that's going to be occurring from this particular development. Now, that could include road widening along Morse Chapel Road. We're hoping for a potential signalized intersection, moving traffic off of Morse Chapel Road back onto I-485, taking a look at what could potentially happen, if anything, at these roundabouts, potentially new merge lanes to help traffic flow off of Morse Chapel Road. So we're taking a look at that, and I know it's on everybody's mind, and I know we're keyed in on it as well. But when we have these details of what gets produced within this traffic study, we'll be sure to share those details with everybody.
Could you work with LGI Properties to go ahead and make this connection here at the southern end of their lot? Because it seems like they own this parcel here.
They do. They own that parcel. We are working with LGI Homes on that to kind of understand where their phasing is currently, and we have good communication with that group.
So would it be a possibility that as part of this that you go ahead and work with them to make that connector?
Oh, sure, absolutely. Yep. Oh, absolutely, Missy. Yep.
Make that connector there, I guess.
Yep. Yep. I'm not sure what these roadway networks look like off the top of my head, but I know it's coming. All right. Let's see here. I think we've got a lot of questions here. Let's see if I can go through some of these questions. How will this affect my property value? So that's a good question. Whether folks want to kind of acknowledge this or not, we think that including new development is a benefit for the community. It will help attract commercial and retail uses to this area. new housing for people. It will attract good people. Now, how that affects property values, without knowing more detail and where this person lives, I can't say, but I can say that typically new development does not negatively and adversely affect home values. City of Charlotte, we're reaping the benefits of our geographic location these days. Property values are going up across the city. I think homeowners have definitely benefited from that. Let's see, the high cost of our living standard, more traffic, more crowding. Yes, we're trying to address that within a traffic study. Let's see here, by market rate, by zip code. Chuck, is market rate determined by zip code? How do y'all study that?
Sorry about that. Market rate. So we hire a market analyst that will come in and look at everything that's happening with other like properties, and they establish a rate. We don't measure it per zip code, but I think each section of town does have it set its own, like what does it cost to live out here? And it's kind of based on all the other, like I said, all the other rental communities in the neighborhood. So something here might not rent for the same thing as something downtown or something in the Northeast. It's all just kind of relative to the things that are there, but it is not based on any zip code or any data per zip code per se.
Thank you, Chuck. We have a concern from the Pawtucket community that potential signalized intersection at Old Morris Chapel and Morris Chapel could potentially cause more traffic harm. So that's being studied. Definitely, we're not going to create any additional wait times. Wait times are a component of what's going to be studied. And we're only going to be proposing mitigation improvements to the area. Let's see here. Market rate is literally the market, what the market will bear. That is correct. Basically, what market forces are going to dictate rental rates for this community. That is correct.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I apologize. My quick question is, with this neighborhood coming about, will it bring more businesses in the area besides the dog park and the bar, the brewery? Is there anything else that may come?
So nothing tied to this rezoning specifically. However, with more rooftops, more retail typically comes. The west side of town has been an underserved portion of Charlotte for a long time. There's definitely a renewed interest in the west side of town, which I think is great. And I'm hopeful that a lot of those commercial uses that are shown on the previous rezoning that was done back in 2005 are going to start coming to fruition. On the north side of Mount Holly Road, there has been a large commercial district as well that has been sitting vacant for quite some time along, I believe it's Sedona Road or Savona Highway. Savona Road. I'm trying to remember what the name of the road is into the D.R. Horton development, but that is starting to come to fruition as well. That a lot of that development is starting to move forward. So with people moving to the area, a lot of single family homes being built, there's definitely a renewed interest in retail as well.
Okay, thank you.
I have another question.
Yes.
I hear you all talking about the traffic that's going to affect Old Morris Chapel Road or Morris Chapel, but I'm not hearing anything about the traffic concerns we have with Mount Holly Road, the intersection right where Cedar Mill community, because I'm one of those neighbors. Cedar Mill is the intersection of Ryan, I think that's Ryan Road, and Mount Holly Road. Is there going to be any type of traffic lights put up there? Because traffic that's going to come from Morris Chapel is going to divert over to us, because people are going to be trying to get around to get to their neighborhood if there's more traffic added to a certain street nearby. They're going to do cut throughs and all of that. And we already have a high number of accidents that are happening right out here at the entrance of the Cedar Mill community right off of Mount Holly Road. So can you address that and let me know or let us know, is there anything being done to address the traffic issues on Mount Holly?
Yeah, so NCDOT and CDOT, based on the proposed development within this petition, have basically identified these particular areas to be studied within the development, the traffic mitigation study. This was the direction that we received from those two reviewing agencies, and that's what we're proceeding with. Now, future development that may be occurring along Mount Holly Road, a lot is occurring. I would recommend for everyone to stay involved and follow what may be happening along Mount Holly Road that may have a more direct impact along Mount Holly. Track those potential mitigation improvements that would be tied to rezonings. But CDOT and NCDOT did not ask for us to study anything along Mount Holly Road related to this particular petition.
Hey, Paul, could I just expound on that a little bit,
Yeah,
if you don't
Sam.
mind? And Henderson has had his hand up for a long time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just very quickly, so there's a development coming across 485 that will directly impact that intersection with Cedar Mill and Mount Holly Road. So the Northwest Community Alliance and that team have worked very closely with the developers for that area. And as part of the development that's coming in that area, this developer has agreed to do some real strong road improvements over there right in front of Cedar Mill, where the intersection is with Cedar Mill and Mount Holly Road. So of course, it's not this development that we're talking about. We can try to find it and send it to you, but there will be some major road improvement that will be happening over there as part of that development that Paul just highlighted in green across 45. So whoever asked that question, that's one of the things that we really fought for, was to make that traffic pattern much easier to navigate. So people that are coming out of Cedar Mill and people that are coming off of Ryan Road and Mount Holly, it doesn't create a backup. There will also be improving Ryan Road to make it a 4-lane in and out road right there. So there are some major improvements coming in that area. Just want to put that out there.
Thanks for addressing that.
Oh, and Sam, let me piggyback on that a little bit. Last I heard, the intersection of Sonoma Valley, Ryan Road, and Mount Holly Road is currently in design with NCDOT to become a signalized intersection. It is coming and it is moving forward. Development over in this area has been making financial contributions to an escrow account to assist NCDOT in that effort. NCDOT wants that intersection to be improved. Yes, it's a dangerous intersection. There are accidents happening. I'm sure you're very familiar with them all. NCDOT has identified that. And last I heard, those improvements are actively moving forward and they're the design stage now.
And to members of this community, just so you know, this is what this meeting is about. We come here, we lay our plans, we work with the developers to make some of those things happen, because that was through the efforts of us pushing back with the developers, saying, if you're going to build there, these are the concessions that we will accept if you're going to build on that specific site in our community. Just to put that out there. I think Henderson had his hand up for a long time.
Yes, Henderson Reed, please proceed. I'm so sorry. I just now noticed your hand. Thank you, Sam, for bringing that to my attention. Henderson, if you'd like to ask a question, I cannot hear you.
This is Missy Epswar, or maybe Henderson, feel free to interrupt me. Are you there? Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
I just think he's having audio issues.
Yeah. All right. Well, Mr. Reed, if you want to keep giving it a try, we'll jump in on your question when your audio issues are kind of resolved, or you can try typing in your question. Let's see here. So going through the questions here. Let's see. Once all of this begins, people affected by the increase in traffic will begin to look at alternative routes, but there are none. Getting in and out of our neighborhoods will be a nightmare. If city council cannot at least acknowledge that, then there are no more than just a tax base for the city. New residents will also come to that realization. Yes, we are aware. I'm going to go through and look at the traffic concerns there. We definitely hear everyone's traffic concerns, and we're studying that. It's in process. I'm sorry I could not share more details of that tonight. I know everyone wants to hear more details. There will be a follow-up meeting where we talk about these details. It's coming. We have to go through the appropriate steps to get that done.
I think it's worth maybe getting input from the community. The traffic might say there's not a lot of traffic passing at 5 o'clock because the traffic is literally not moving at 5 o'clock, starting from almost at Old Moore's Chapel all the way to the traffic circles. And so traffic has already, even in COVID, it would back up in that area. And so, the only solution that I think that, I've been just personally been able to come up with is, I'm sorry that my drawing is just lagging my talking, but is in that same stretch of Moore's Chapel to make that several lanes where you could have people going directly onto 485 north or south, or going straight through the traffic circle, so that people wouldn't be back, so that you could get 3 people manipulating through the on ramps and then through the traffic circle at a time, rather than just one as it is now. So it's, I think, a traffic light by itself at the Old Moore's Chapel intersection is not going to be sufficient to alleviate that problem.
Okay. And Missy, I encourage the Northwest Community Alliance and the executive board to come up with maybe a list of potential asks. This is really the time for us to see what those requests are. I feel, everything is on the table here. So if you could, please provide your input. We want to have that information.
And if community members feel more comfortable speaking to Sam, who's on this call, or me, those emails that come from the Northwest Community Alliance come from all of us. So you can email your concerns directly to us, or your ideas. And we can relay those and work with these folks to try to get them implemented. Anne-Marie, you're muted.
No, I was just saying also that anything at the Whitewater Center throws that whole area, this whole area out of whack. If anything, like the event at the Whitewater Center, I've just seen these circles. They help a little bit, but yeah, I just need to know that somebody takes that into consideration, I guess.
Okay. Let's see. You're familiar with NCDOT and the rate of building new roads. We will likely be fossilized by the time that it gets constructed. So road improvements that get identified, just to be clear, within the traffic study and the traffic mitigation, those will need to be done on the developer's dime, and they will be tied to obtaining certificate of occupancies for the construction of this development. So we're not going to be waiting on NCDOT for any traffic improvements that may occur. These improvements would be codified and agreed upon within a rezoning petition. So it would not be years down the road for NCDOT to move forward with any type of mitigation efforts that may occur within this development. We all know that NCDOT, and I hope that the infrastructure bill that just got passed may correct this, but NCDOT is hurting for funds. And a lot of capital improvement projects that they have seen and earmarked to move forward have been put on hold for, I've seen, a decade or 15 years. So just want to bring to light that whatever improvements are identified within this study, they will be done by the developer, not NCDOT. Let's see here. We were told that NCDOT was far behind on road work, 5 years. That's true. They're lagging. What improvements includes, I'm trying to pick up on everyone's, I see a lot of traffic concerns, and we hear you. We hear that traffic is a major concern in this area.
I have a question for Sam and Missy. Again, I live in the Cedar Mill community, and I've noticed that we don't have any like ride and share, or like the parking areas where you can park and take the bus into the city. I don't know if that's something that anyone in the neighborhoods out here have looked at to help with the ease of traffic. But I think that would be a good option to look at, because we don't have any that I know of in this area.
Particularly with Freedom Drive, because you could just go straight into town. Is something like that a possibility for a development like this as an amenity that comes with the community center, or whatever that was kind of a community space, like that was what you that built one?
Yeah, we can absolutely reach out to CATS and talk to them about a potential park and share, ride and share, something like that, or including a bus stop on site. We can absolutely reach out to CATS on that, certainly.
Hi, everyone. This is Susie. Paul, I love the
Susie.
design. How are you doing?
Doing well.
I love the design. But it's just, my thoughts about the traffic. It's just going to be a nightmare. And the concern is, even with the bus, Moore's Chapel is a 2-lane road. I mean, there's nowhere to go. And so I don't know. I like some nice builds coming over in our section, but all the land is being taken up, and we have but one grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
We have no amenities. So that's my concern.
Thank you, Susie. A comment here for no dog bar by Jody Adams, and then Anne Marie. The dog bar is nice, but we need gas stations, grocery stores, mass transportation options, bus lines, etc. Thank you, Anne Marie. Let's see here. Yes, we're certainly fighting over low stocked grocery shelves. Yeah, that's a supply chain issue these days. Too much good land is being used up for residential tax base. We're not seeing the benefits of the taxes being collected. For example, road, sidewalks, parks, traffic improvements. Definitely share those concerns with Charlotte City Council. I believe that they are all ears on residential or for community services and citizen services.
Noted, just FYI.
Thank you, Councilmember Watlington. I appreciate that.
But Paul, I don't agree with you on the supply chain about grocery stores.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do not. We actually live in a food desert. We had I can't remember the woman's name, Susie, or I'm not sure if you guys know either, but we are in a food desert. Susie Taylor has went to the grocery store several times and taken pictures of no food on the shelves, and now you're going to put more people with no, we need grocery stores. We don't need a dog park. I think Chuck Young had a development that had like a bar and a little coffee shop. That's what we need. We don't need a dog park. We need grocery stores. We need a restaurant. I really love the brewery and the apartment. That would be great.
Jody, I appreciate your comments. I wish we could help you on the macro level of grocery stores and community needs like that. The dog bar that we're proposing within this development also builds community, and we think that building a sense of community is also a positive for local neighborhoods. So while this is not a development for a grocery store, we think that there's still positive aspects to this, and building a sense of community and maintaining as much green space on site is important. And I think we're able to deliver on that with this petition.
If I could jump in real briefly on that comment.
Certainly.
While this is not a rezoning for a grocery store or anything like that, those comments that you all have that you would like to share, please be sure to share them on the interactive place type map. that is out right now as part of the UDO process. And if you don't already have those links, I can get with Sam and Missy to get them to you. But those are the kinds of comments that we want to be sure that as you're reviewing those place type maps that you capture.
So just to jump back on this, on one of our slides, we did have the website for the Charlotte Future 2040 plan. If you go to cltfuture2040plan.com, you will be able to find a lot of these place type mapping policies and what's being proposed currently right now in draft form, also the codified 2040 plan and the draft UDO.
Hey, Paul, if I could chime in for 1 second.
Sure, Chuck.
So hey, I want to make sure that we're communicating clearly on the dog park bar. I think I would picture it as a place where you can go, have a drink, have something to eat, relax, enjoy music. You know, by the way, dogs are also welcome and encouraged, right? Because so many people have dogs now. So the goal is to have not, you know, just somewhere where you show up, order a drink and spend it with your dog and that's it. It's our intention. That's why we're taking our time finding the right user, is for it to be kind of community destination to kind of serve that restaurant, place to relax, enjoy outside, you know, string lights, music on Fridays, all that kind of stuff. And then food trucks, catering, pop-up food events. I just want to make sure it's clear. It's not a fenced in dog park with, you know, you can buy a beer, right? It's going to be a lot more than that. That's the goal. So I just want to make sure everyone understands that and knows what we're proposing.
Thank you, Chuck.
Along those lines, how are you planning to get people up there? I mean, if Old Morris Chapel Road isn't like saying, come just drive around if you pass it on Morris Chapel. So
yep.
how are you going to get traffic to know that such a lovely neighborhood spot exists?
No, absolutely. And no, that's a totally appropriate first reaction to having this tucked back here, right? So we try to do one of these when something like this at these developments, like the brewery, which you can't see in the photos, is it's actually on an island. Most people in Atlanta have never been down the street that we put this on. So we wanted to install it because one of the many reasons to have that brewery there was to draw people to the site, because we put things that are destinational, like people travel all over the place to take their dogs places, or to, you know, if the community knows about this and it's underserved by amenities, this will become a destination. You can see it from the interstate. The social media presence is important to us. So that's an important piece of this. So we, you know, just somebody who relies on drive-by or walk-by traffic would fail here, right? That's just the way it is. So we were very, very specific about, and we're very deliberate about the dog portion of this, because we know people will seek it out.
Harvey Worthy, I'm looking at your comment. There truly needs to be a moratorium on land development for residential in the area without more serious discussions on amenities. We are a food desert. We need the amenities that any decent neighborhood desires. There's enough buying power here to support grocery stores, gas stations, retail shopping. That should always be part of the conversation about development. It would go a long way towards appeasing the current residents. Thank you for your comment, Harvey. No bus routes on Morris Chapel. We will reach out to CATS, Charlotte Area Transit, to discuss that with them. Let's see. We have three. Let's see. Someone made the comment, Kimberly. We have, let's see, many of us moved out here for more rural feel. We have 3 grocery stores. And I believe there's actually one in development directly adjacent Mount Holly Road. I think there may be one coming in the works. See 2 Food Lions and Harris Teeter. On Morris Chapel, we have 1 Food Lion. Yep, the Food Lion is close to this development. Let's see here. Missy, thank you for adding the link to the policy mapping, the draft policy mapping. Thank you for that. That's in the chat here. Let's see here. Trying to go out on NZ 27 in the afternoon to 2 Holly Road. Okay, 2 points. See. Great people who like dogs. See, I'm seeing a lot of comments. I'm looking for questions. Huge money making business out there, expensive for those dog parks. I love the dog park idea.
And Paul, why are you looking for a question?
I think I'm all caught up, Sam, so you're good.
Okay, good. While you're looking for questions, I do want to share with the community that even though the petitioner are doing this presentation to us today, we still have the ability to convene and come up with some concessions that we will go back. When I mean we, the Northwest Community Alliance, will go back to the petitioner and say, these are the specifics that the community is looking for. Again, give you an example of what we did on Ryan Road, Omar Holly, in front of Cedar Mill. Councilwoman Wallington sent the petitioner back to work with us, and they worked very closely with us and were able to get some concessions out of there, including a red light for that street. So don't think this is the end all. As Missy has shared, we want to hear from you. We want you to send us, and Missy, can you put our email address in the chat? But we want you to send us your comments and your concerns. We will be on this call all day voicing our comments and concerns. I don't think none of us, I haven't ate dinner. I'm trying to get to dinner. So I don't think none of us want to sit on this call all day. So please send us your concerns, your comments, whatever concessions that you think is appropriate for this development, send it to us. We will work with the petitioner. We'll work with Councilman Wallington to make sure that it's done. The last point I will make very quickly is that, as Paul has shared, sometime in February or March, we will have the opportunity to go and address council. We'll have the opportunity to go address council specific to this development. So we can go as a big unified community. And trust me, I think Councilwoman Wallington will agree with this. There's a position in numbers. So we'll have a big opportunity to go and voice council based on where we stand. So I say all that to say, I don't want us to keep hammering Paul with all the questions tonight. I think we need to sit back and really think through what is it that we're willing, how are we willing to work with Paul and his petition and his petitioners, present that to Paul, present to the councilwoman, have our chance to speak to council, have our chance to talk to Councilman Wallington, and then we can come back to the community with what the best solution or concessions that was concluded from that. So with that, I'll stop talking. Again, you guys we'll be asking questions to 10 o'clock tonight. I don't think everybody want to stay to 10 o'clock. So again, please send us those questions via your email. So I'll stop talking, turn it back to you, Paul.
Thank you, Sam. I appreciate your comments. And I think Sam can attest, I'm not hard to find. Missy can attest to that. Susie can attest to that. If this is not going to be the last meeting that we have regarding this petition, we will be having follow-up conversations. We will be attending a Northwest Community Alliance meeting moving forward. We will be making additional presentations and having discussions about traffic. This is not going to be the only time that we will be talking about this petition. We look forward to further conversations. So moving forward, I'm not seeing any new comments. So moving forward, letting you know what will happen from here regarding this is the required community meeting. So we've recorded this meeting. It will be posted on our website for public viewing, really indefinitely until the rezoning has essentially come to a close. You'll be able to review this meeting. I don't know why you'd want to watch it all over again, but if you want to, or if you want to forward it to someone else that may be interested in it, you can go to urbandesignpartners.com. Again, that's urbandesignpartners.com. On our webpage, on our landing webpage, there is a rezoning tab on the left. Click that, and you will see the rezoning petition posted on that next rezoning page for zoning petition 2021-142, referred to as Rhine Station. All of this information will be out there for public consumption, for public viewing. A copy of this presentation that we shared tonight will be available in PDF format for download. So we're going to push we're not required to do any of this, but we're pushing all of this out there to the community, and it will be out there for everyone to obtain. We've been taking notes from tonight. We will be putting those notes into a meeting report and submitting that back to the city of Charlotte. They will be posted online at rezoning.org. Rezoning.org is the City of Charlotte rezoning website. Click on 2021, the year, and then again, 2021-142 is the rezoning petition. It's all on there. Don't ask me how they got rezoning.org, but they did. And moving forward, a lot of this information will be out there in the public. I encourage you all to remain engaged. I encourage you all to reach out to the Northwest Community Alliance Board and share your concerns. And we will continue to work with the community and the Northwest Community Alliance. I'm not seeing any more comments. So we've gone almost an hour and a half. And I just would like to wrap up by just saying thank you to everyone taking a little more than an hour out of your day. Really appreciate your comments and your thoughts. Thank you for sharing your concerns tonight. I look forward to future conversations and working on this petition with the community. And I hope everyone has a great evening. And Sam, enjoy dinner. I hear your kids in the background. I'm wondering if they've eaten yet.
Thank you, Paul.
All right, Sam. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. Missy, Susie, as always, thank you for your input. Really appreciate it.
Paul, would it be possible for us to get the registration email list?
Oh, yeah, sure. We can. Yeah,
Our listserv, if you just,
absolutely. Yeah, we can get that to you.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Thanks.
absolutely.
I
All
would
right.
say-
Oh, yes.
I was just letting you know that because of the snafu with our community meeting, I had our other Zoom open, and there were a few people in there, but I don't know that they showed up here, but we'll do our best to communicate to the.
Looks like we've got about 20 people or so in participating right now, maybe a little more. So we actually had a pretty good turnout, but we'll have additional community meetings and we'll have additional discussions.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening and have a great night. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.